Okay, I hope you can see my screen. Tomer, can you confirm?
Yes, excellent, all good.
Okay, fantastic. So we apologize for the problems. Before we actually go to the actual presentation, I would like to. Sorry, I see that there were two. We wanted to do some polls and ask you a few questions. I see two of them were closed, but we have a third one. Okay, so I will now open a poll, and please give us your answers. We'll give you about 30-50 seconds for this. Okay, I'm starting the poll. We would like to know what are the brands that you are currently working with. We have a few to choose from. Great, we're getting answers. Thank you very much. Also, in the meantime, while we wait for everybody to vote, I would like to remind you that you can ask questions in the questions bar on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar screen. Okay, another 10 seconds. Great. I'm closing the poll. Thank you very much again for giving us your answers. Another question that we would like to ask you in the same manner is, have you already completed any projects with DSC, which we are going to present to you? Great, I can see we already have customers using our brands. That's great, that's amazing. Okay, another 15 seconds. Okay, thank you very much. I'm closing the poll now. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation. So maybe before we go to the actual presentation, a few words. So as you were informed, JCI is opening a partnership with ADI in the Middle East, and we are launching two product lines that were not present through ADI so far. The product lines are PowerSeries Neo and PowerSeries Pro, which we are going to talk about. We'll start with PowerSeries Neo first. Okay, PowerSeries Neo is a residential and small to medium commercial hybrid security system. Okay, here you can see on the example, several use cases. We actually will be talking about perimeter detection. We are going to talk about wireless technology that it's using. We are going to talk about different use cases. Okay. But maybe first, so I'm assuming, looking also at the poll results, that many of you may have had experience with our older systems, like PowerSeries, like Maxis, like Alexa, or like Impasa. So these systems were very successful, and they have been on the market for several years. Okay, but we, as a DSC, about 5 years ago, we decided that we would like to unify those. So sorry, just a second. Sorry, Tomer, is my screen visible?
We still see the poll. I see the poll.
Oh, really? Because according to this, I'm very sorry for that. According to my screen, the poll is closed. Yeah, I'm not sure how I can. I'm really sorry. I thought you were seeing my screen.
Just go to sharing and show your screen, please.
Okay, I will stop showing.
Exactly.
And I will start showing again. How about now?
Perfect. Thanks. Sorry.
Great. Okay, cool. So again, apologies for that. So as I was saying, I'm assuming many of you may have had experience with our order systems like PowerSeries, like Maxis, Alexa, or Impasa. What we decided 5 years ago that it's high time to unify our platforms, okay, and to give our customers a better experience while using a single platform, which makes it easier for installation, easier for selling process, purchasing process. So we started to discontinue the old lines of products, okay, like Alexa, like Impasa. We still continue with Maxis, but we believe that maybe in the next 1 year or two, we are also going to get rid of this platform. And we replace those first with PowerSeries Neo, which was launched to the global markets in 2015. And then we also introduced PowerSeries Pro, which we are going to talk about, later. Okay. Exactly. So PowerSeries Neo. Let's start with PowerSeries Neo. What is PowerSeries Neo? PowerSeries Neo is a, as I mentioned, residential, small to medium commercial, scalable hybrid solution. Okay. In our maximum offering, we offer you 128 zones, which can be wired or wireless. Okay, meaning you can have up to 128 wireless zones. This is quite unique on the market. Usually, our competitors, even if they offer wireless solutions, usually they offer less wireless zones than actually wired. Okay. Again, in this maximum configuration, you can use up to 8 partitions. You can connect up to 16 keypads to the system, and you can utilize 1,000 user codes. And also, the event buffer is quite large because it includes 1,000 events. On top of this, we have 4 onboard open collector type programmable outputs, okay, that can be used in different ways. We are going to talk about it in one of the next slides. What is also unique about our system is that the maximum number of programmable outputs that this system can handle is actually matching the zone count. Meaning, if you are using the highest range system, 128 zones, you can also have up to 128 programmable outputs. Okay. When it comes to alarm protocols, communication protocols, the panel has an embedded PSTN communicator, which is using the most standard alarm protocols like contact ID and SIA. Okay, and on top of it, again, we are going to talk about it. We are also utilizing IP and cellular communication. And for the IP and cellular communication, we are utilizing DSC proprietary communication protocol called Fibro. Okay. The bus of the system, the bus meaning like a data bus where you connect all the modules and devices, is fully encrypted with 128-bit AES encryption. Okay. On top of it, quite a unique feature, that's why it's mentioned here on one of the first slides, we are offering a unique experience called interconnected smoke detectors, okay, regardless if they are hardwired or wireless, meaning that if one of the smoke detectors is going into alarm, all other smoke detectors in the systems are also automatically going into alarm, even if they did not detect the smoke yet. Okay, this is very useful in potential life-threatening situations. Okay, and it can actually warn residents of an object or employees much quicker and actually save their life, which at the end of the day is one of the things we like doing every day, you know, saving people's lives. Another very interesting feature of PowerSeries Neo, again, we are going to see it in more details later, okay, is a visual alarm verification, both in day and night, thanks to our unique motion detectors with integrated cameras, both in indoor PowerG motion detector with camera, as well as outdoor PowerG motion detector with camera. Okay. Here you see, I'm not going to talk in details about this, but here you see the basic wiring diagram. Okay, what you can see on the main board, in the center of the screen, we have the bus of the system marked by words red, black, yellow, green. This is where we connect 4 wires. Okay, and this 4-wire bus is also used to connect modules and other devices like keypads, zone expanders, product, things like that. Okay, next to the bus of the system, you can see from 2 to 4 outputs. Okay, and then you have zone terminals. Okay, at the far right end, you can see the PSTN communicator connectors. On the far left, you can see the power supply connectors and auxiliary power output for powering extra devices from the panel, as well as the bell siren output. Okay. This is a more detailed specification of each of the variants of the panel that we are offering. We have 4 variants as called HS 2016, 32, 64, and 128. As you may see, the last 2 digits of the name of the product refer to the maximum zone count that can be used on this panel. Okay, the smallest variant utilizes or features 6 onboard zones. Okay, the other variants have 8 onboard zones embedded. Okay, and then the number of zones can be expanded further by zone expansion modules, utilizing the maximum zone count allowed for this specific control panel. Okay, what is also important to understand is that, let's take an example of the largest panel, HS2128. If we want to use 128 wireless zones only, we don't need to use any expanders. Okay, expanders need to be used only in case you are connecting hardwired detectors. Here on this table, you can also see the difference in number of users, from 47 users on the smallest panel to 1,000 users, 999 plus master, so total 1,000 users in the panel. Okay, the onboard programmable outputs, 2 on the smaller panels, and 2 on the 16 and 32 zone panels, and 4 on the 64 and 128 zone variant. Okay, as I mentioned, and you can see it here from the table, the total programmable outputs number is matching the zone output zone number. Okay, the panels also differ by a number of allowed partitions, by number of keypads that you can connect, and other specifications. But at the end of the day, the board we are using is the boards that we are using are actually very similar, which means that you don't need to worry that something will be different if you start using a different type of panel, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's move forward. Another very important aspect is that this control panel is approved by several worldwide recognized certification agencies. Okay, starting of course from the American FCC and UL, going through Europe, where we have the most important, of course, is the EN Grade 2 certification, which is recognized all across Europe and outside of Europe as well. But not only that, we also have very strict certifications like INSERT in Belgium or NFA2P in France. These certifications are actually much more strict than EN Grade 2. Okay, but we were able to meet the requirements of these strict certifications. This also proves that the panel is really very flexible and very professional. Okay. Let's move forward. So just a little bit about the nomenclature that we are using. You remember that the name of the panel is HS20 something. Okay, so what does it mean? HS stands for hybrid system. Okay, for those who may not be familiar 100%, hybrid means hardwired and wireless in one panel. Okay, the panels in general, the security panels divide into 3 groups. Okay, fully hardwired panels, fully wireless panels, and hybrid panels. Okay, the most flexible is the hybrid panel. Okay, then the first digit of the name of the panel means it's a grade 2 system. That's why it's HS2. Okay, when we move to the second presentation of PowerSeries Pro, which is having a grade 3 certification, you will see that the names of the panels start with HS3. Okay, and then eventually the last 3 digits state the number of zones. So starting from 016, going through 032, 064, and 128 zones. In case of PowerSeries Neo, this is the largest model that we have. Again, a little bit about the grades system. This is a European system. Maybe not everyone here on the call is familiar. So in Europe, we have systems are divided into 4 grades. Okay, grade 4 is practically not used by any known manufacturer. These are standards for higher than military, and I'm not even sure that in NASA they have a grade 4 system. So we focus on grade 1 to 3. Grade 1 is for systems that are of the lowest quality and they do not offer too much security. Grade 2 and grade 3 are the most important. Okay, grade 2 means that alarm is suitable from a low to medium risk. Okay, which means residential and small commercial forces, and intruders are expected to have knowledge and tools in order to break into the system. Okay, and in case of grade 3, which is a higher level, security used in commercial objects like banks, like military. Okay, that's where intruders are expected to have full knowledge about the system and full range of tools in order to break into the system, which, as we know, is not that common, right? Let's move forward. Just a little bit about the hardwired zones. So basically, this panel allows to connect any hardwired detector that exists. Okay, as long, of course, as it's not addressable. Addressable detectors, which some of you may be familiar with, addressable detectors are usually proprietary to a manufacturer, but there are many hardwired detectors available on the market, also in our offering, and basically any of those detectors can be used with our system. And we are supporting 3 different types of connection. Okay, the normally closed connection, the single end-of-line connection, and the double end-of-line connection, which are the most common, the most popular connection types. Okay, hardwired outputs. So programmable outputs, as I mentioned, the panel utilizes programmable outputs. What programmable means in this respect, it means that we can actually assign an action, okay, that will cause the programmable output to get triggered. Okay, what it means, we can, for example, tell the system that if you have an alarm from zone number 3, okay, you would like the external light to go on, okay, to light. Okay, these programmable outputs can either be triggered by a system event. Okay, an alarm from a zone is a typical example. You can also use another system action like arming, for example. So you say, if I arm the system into away mode, okay, I would like all the lights to go off, for example, or I would like all my roller shutters to close automatically. Okay, so that's one of the methods. The second method is so-called command output, where we manually, either through the panel's keypad or through an end-user application, we actually send a message to the panel to activate the output. Okay. Again, a use case for this kind of scenario is, for example, controlling the gate. Okay. So having a wireless key fob, we can press a start button on the key fob. This will send a signal to the control panel and say, hey, you received a signal from the key fob. It means you need to activate the gate controller, and the gate gets opened. Okay, that's one of the other scenarios. Programmable outputs number 1, 3, and 4 can supply up to 50 milliamps of power, while the programmable output number 2 is of higher voltage and can supply up to 300 milliamps. Okay, that means it can also be used for so-called 2-wire smoke detectors. Okay, 2-wire smoke detectors are those who are connected in a loop. Okay, they are less and less popular these days, but we still support those types of detectors. Okay, a little bit about our system bus. So as I mentioned, the bus of the system is like the heart of the system, and all system modules are connected to this bus. In our case, the bus is called core bus. Okay, we have our bus is 4-wire. Okay, we are using 4 wires. The so-called red and black terminals are used to provide power to the bus, while the yellow and green are used for data communication. What we are recommending, okay, is to use AWG22 two-pair twisted cable. It's very important that the cable is not shielded. Okay, we have noticed that when you use a shielded cable, okay, the whole resistance of the cable goes down, and even though you are meeting the requirements for the length of the cable, the whole system may not work properly. This is generally an issue of the industry. Yet, not everybody is advising this. We are very transparent in our operations, so we are advising you not to use shielded cables. Whenever I do this kind of presentation, I'm getting questions on how we can connect the modules, what are the options, and actually we have three different types of connection, which is the so-called home run, where all the modules go directly to the bus, okay, with separate cabling. The other one, we can connect them actually in series. So we can run a cable to, as you can see on the screen, we can run the cable to the module A. Okay, then from module A, we can go to module B. Okay, what is important is that we will not, the total length of the bus will not be higher than 305 meters. Okay, as you can see on the picture, module C is connected in so-called T-tape way of connection, which is fine, but the total length here is 345 meters, and it's too much. Okay, so 305 meters is the maximum length of cabling that is used with PowerSeries Neo. Okay, a little bit about different modules that we have available with the system. Okay, so obviously, maybe starting from the bottom, the zone expander HSM2108, which adds 8 hardwired zones to the system, okay, and is consuming 125 milliamps of power. This is like the most basic module, okay, and then we have 3 modules which work the opposite way. The first one is a simple power supply module, HSM2300. Please don't confuse it with the actual system power supply, something that you connect to the power outlet. HSM2300 just provides more power into the bus of the system. Okay, the panel itself can provide 700 milliamps of power to the bus. Okay, but we often need more. We certainly need to power up the detectors. We may have several keypads. We may have a communicator. All these devices consume power. So in certain cases, we might need to provide more power to the bus. Okay. There is another interesting module called HSM2204, okay, which is also a power supply unit. It will supply power to the bus, but on top of it, you can find 4 programmable high current voltage outputs. Okay, similar to the programmable output number 2. Okay, you need high current if you don't need extra power, but you need more outputs. You can still use the HSM2208, which simply gives you 8 low current outputs extra to the system. And at the end of the day, the last module that I would like to talk about is HSM2955, okay, which is a module used for two-way voice communication. Okay, if you want to use two-way voice communication, you can install this module. Then on top of it, you can use a two-way audio controllers. Okay, push-to-talk devices. You can connect them in the system, and basically, whenever there is an alarm, the HSM2955 allows the monitoring station to call into the system and go to the so-called listen-in feature. Okay, listen what's actually going on in the object. Okay, this is very useful in fighting false alarms. I have another slide about this when I explain it in more details. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about. So you can see here on the drawing that we have so-called audio station Vox modules, okay, connected to the board of HSM2955, and these modules allow us to add a microphone and a speaker to the system and allow for a so-called listen-in mode of the system. Okay, And this kind of talk and listen capability is available in case of these 5 events, which are the zone alarms, okay, tampers of the system, openings and closings, alarms from a key fob, like panic alarm, for example, and so-called duress alarm. For those who may not be familiar, a duress alarm is a situation where we are captured by someone. You know, somebody is waiting for us near our door, and you know, maybe I will be very maybe I will picture a bad picture, but you know, puts a gun to our head and says, please disarm the system, you know, and don't do anything. So we can disarm the system with a special code. Okay, the system behaves as everything is fine and system got disarmed, but actually there is a silent alarm sent to the monitoring station with a code duress, and this is an information to a monitoring station that we are under pressure from someone to disarm the system. Okay, and in such case, the monitoring station can actually open a voice line with our system, again without giving any apparent sign of this, okay, and can listen on what's going on in our situation. Okay, maybe they can figure out that there are more than one intruders. Okay, maybe they will hear, I don't know, children playing, which rather suggests it was a false alarm. Okay, these kind of things. Okay, let's move forward. One of the most important things in an ARM system is, of course, how it communicates with the world. Okay, and up until, let's say, 5-6 years ago, majority of control panels in the world were communicating through the PSTN communication technology, okay, using the standard home phone line. Okay, but more and more this technology is becoming obsolete, and as an answer to that, DSC with PowerSeries Neo is offering 3 types of communicators. Okay, we have so-called cellular communicator using 3G technology to communicate signals to our monitoring station. Okay, we have a module which is an internet communicator through the Ethernet line. Okay, and then we have the most advanced one, TL2803G. Okay, which is at the same time cellular and internet alarm communicator. It has an Ethernet port and a 3G module to communicate. Okay, using a dual communicator is the most popular way to communicate with the monitoring station. In case of one channels of communication going down for some reason, okay, we have the second one taking over as a backup, or if we want, we can actually use both of them together for higher level of security. And then I'm talking about it in the communicators family. You know that sometimes there are problems with cellular reception, okay, and installing, usually you install panel inside of the building, right, in some hidden place where you might not have correct reception. Okay, so in such case you might want to have the communicator with its antenna much closer to the outside world. Okay, maybe installed on the below the roof, for example, of the building, or maybe close to a window or something. So if you want to extend the distance between the control panel and the communicator, you can use a module called PCL422. Okay, and with this module you can extend the communication. So basically you connect one PCL422 module on the side of the panel, another module on the side of the communicator, and between them you can run a series of cables, 4 cables like you use for the bus. Okay, and it will provide full communication. Okay. A little bit more about our communicators. So all the communication is supervised with 128-bit AES encryption. Okay, we are utilizing HSPA network, but we also have so-called fallback to 2G, to edge. Okay, in case 3G is not available, our devices can seamlessly in milliseconds switch to the 2G communication. Okay, which is, you know, still worldwide available. Actually, statistically, the biggest number of cellular towers in the world still communicate in 2G. You know, so this is still an available technology. Okay, Our systems do not use high data. It's actually minimum data. One signal data usage is calculated in bytes. Okay, so the used technology is of less importance. Okay, as I mentioned, we are using SIA and contact ID formats of the signal. Okay, but of course the protocol around these signals is our proprietary protocol called Fibro. Okay, so we are preparing the signal, the panel prepares the signal in the SIA or contact ID format, okay, then packs it into Fibro protocol, sends it to our monitoring station, which unpacks it, okay, and provides it to the automation software with the readable format, okay. On top of the most common activity, which is communication with the monitoring station, our communicators can also provide upload-download capabilities. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about the software called DLS, which is our programming software. So this programming software can communicate with control panels using upload-download through cellular or internet. Okay, and we can also use the communicators for firmware upgrading of the whole system. Okay, so our systems are field upgradable through internet or cellular network. Okay, another very interesting or very important feature of our communicators is support for so-called visual verification with our PIR camera devices. So our communicators serve as a buffer. Okay, they receive the video pictures from our control panels, okay, buffer them, and then send them to monitoring station, which also means that in case of communication being down for some time, those very important pictures are still stored within the communicator, and whenever the communication is back, they will be sent to the monitoring station. Okay, in the system itself, we can use 4 different IP receivers, okay, which means we can communicate to 4 different receivers, which meets the requirements of the most advanced and most professional monitoring stations. Usually these days, the most professional monitoring stations will have a main receiving unit, okay, with 2 different IP addresses for backup. And then in case of so-called disaster recovery plan, they also have another pair of receivers in a completely different place. So in our system, we can program all the IP addresses of those receivers, and we can also set the priority of communication. Okay, we can say, first send it to this IP. If it fails, send it to the other IP. If you cannot send it through internet, switch to cellular, send it to this IP, and then send it to that IP. Okay, we are very flexible in this area. Okay, we spoke about the PCL422 module. This is actually, you can see how it's being connected. Okay, in a regular connection type, you can extend the distance between the panel and communicator by about 15 meters. However, if you add the power supply module HSM2300, instead of 15 meters, you can extend the connection between the panel and communicator to over 300 meters, 305 meters. Okay, this is a very good result. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, on top of the monitoring and on top of visual verification, our communicators also cooperate with our cloud service. Okay, and we offer 2 different applications through the cloud service that help you and your customers to work seamlessly with our PowerSeries Neo panel. Okay, these 2 applications are called Connect Alarm and Alarm Install. Okay, where Connect Alarm is a end user application, okay, allowing you to control and manage your control panel as an end user. You can do actions like arming and disarming the system remotely. You can view the system status. In case of an alarm from a PIR camera device, you will also get pictures directly to your application, okay, with pictures from the object. And we of course support the push notification services as well as multiple users. Okay. In case of our systems, as you may remember from the slide with the number of users, we have so-called master user of the system, and this master user can actually add more users to the application. Okay? The master user is controlling who else from his family, from his company, can actually access the system remotely through the application. Okay, so this is what we do for our end users, but we don't forget about our installers. And for installers, we are offering another application called Alarm Install, okay, using the same cloud service. And with Alarm Install application, you can remotely configure the control panel. Okay? You can do full programming, you can do full diagnostics, you can initiate the walk test of the system. You can actually as well initiate the radio test of the system to check if the wireless communication technology is working properly. You can access the event log. You can, thanks to full programming, you can rename the zones. You can enroll devices to the system. Okay? It's a very powerful application. Okay? One thing that we didn't cover yet, we talked about the modules, we talked about the communicators, but we haven't spoken about the most important thing, which is the user interface, right? The user interface of our system is a keypad. Okay, we have 6 different types of keypads offered for full flexibility. Okay, we are talking about wire-free keypads. Wire-free meaning fully wireless, communicating wireless with the system. We have LCD keypads, so keypads with LCD screen. Okay, when on the LCD you can read information about the system. Okay, you can do full programming and so on. For some specific type of customers who prefer to see things in terms of pictures or icons, we have a unique keypad called an icon keypad, where you can still do the full operation of the system, but instead of text, you will see icons displayed on the screen. And then eventually, which is a complete requirement these days, we are offering a touchscreen based keypad, okay, with a nice intuitive graphical interface. Now, LCD and touchscreen keypads also offer a proximity reader option. So you can buy a keypad, a special variant of the keypad with letter P at the end of the name, okay, that has a built-in proximity reader, okay, where you can program so-called proximity tags or proximity cards, okay, and you can use this as an arm-disarm method instead of the customer code, okay. And another thing very important to mention is that every keypad utilizes an onboard input-output, okay, single one. So you can connect detectors to the system through the keypad, for example, or you can do or you can have an extra programmable output also available through the keypad. If you may remember, when we started the presentation, I have shown that one of our control panels utilizes 16 zones while having 6 zones on board. And I'm assuming some of you may be asking yourselves, okay, how do I achieve 16 hardwired zones on this system if the hardwired expander is only 8 zones? Okay, 6 plus 8 equals 14, not 16. And what you see here, the input-output on the keypad is actually the answer. Okay, so you can add extra zones through the keypad, and this way you can get the most of our the most functionality from our system. As I mentioned, our system is a hybrid system. Okay, at the same time it's hardwired and wireless. Okay, we'll talk about our amazing wireless technology in a few slides, but I would like to focus for a moment on the ways how our system is getting wireless, or how our system is turning from hardwired to wireless. And there are basically 2 methods. Okay, the most popular method among our customers, which is unique to us, by the way, to DSC, we were the pioneers in developing this kind of technology, is to put the wireless transceiver into a keypad. Okay, so a regular keypad, you know, like any keypad you may know, inside of the box of the keypad, without changing its size, by the way, you can have the wireless transceiver, okay, and you can connect wireless devices through the keypad. Okay, it will get the signals from all the devices and will forward them through cables to the control panel. Okay, While this solution with the wireless, with the hardware keypad with the transceiver, as I said, is very popular among our customers, mainly due to cost reasons. Okay, in some cases, especially in larger commercial objects, this may not be the best option. If the object is really large and you have your keypad naturally through the door, so on one side of the objects, then in some cases, okay, the detector, wireless detector mounted on the complete other side of the large object may not have the perfect range, okay, and for example, maybe because of that, maybe using a little bit too much battery, which we're going to talk about as well. So a solution to this is the device called HSM host, okay, which is a standalone wireless transceiver also connected to the bus of the system. And thanks to that, you can actually install this host device in the middle of the object to ensure the best reception from any area. Okay. This is a little bit about the transceiver, how it works. Okay. The most important thing is that it provides so-called placement test option. Okay. If you connect a wireless device, okay, you can actually observe on the device whether the reception with our host is correct. Okay, it will also flash some troubles. Okay, if for example it loses contact with the control panel, if there is too low voltage on the core bus, if there is an RF interference, jamming condition, not only the panel will tell you about that, but also the device itself. Might be the case that the panel is hidden, okay, that you are not close to the keypad, you will not notice that something is wrong with the system, but the module is installed in the middle of the object and it's well visible, and then you can see, thanks to the LED of the system, that there might be some problem, okay? And our keypad actually works in a very similar way, okay? Also, there is nothing, there is nothing special you need to do with this keypad with RF transceiver. It's working in the same way like any other keypad, okay? It just shows you these LED indications on top of the regular behavior, just to make sure that everything is okay when it comes to the wireless technology. Okay, so we've spoken about the, let's call it hardware part of the system. Now let's move a little bit to the wireless. Okay, our wireless technology is called PowerG. It was developed about 8 years ago, and since then it has been constantly upgraded, updated. Okay, mainly by adding new devices into the whole ecosystem. I think, and you will see it towards the end of the presentation when I will present the full DNA of the system, you will see that we most probably have the largest range of different accessories and devices on the security market. Okay, but what are the key features of the PowerG technology itself? Okay, we focus on three, let's say 4 aspects. Okay, the first aspect is the long range of the communication. Okay, you know very well that there are several wireless providers on the market, okay, manufacturers of wireless technology, and the market problem was always how to compare them between themselves, okay. And so far, the only good method to compare the systems between themselves is to measure the receiving range in so-called open air, okay, without any interference. If you measure this without any interference, it gives you the most reliable answer on which system is the best, okay. And in our case, the devices, as we measured, the devices can communicate up to 2 kilometers, 2,000 meters in open air in the line of sight, okay. Again, assuming that there is minimum to no interference, okay. But that's not everything. Let's be honest, we are using wireless devices and wireless technologies inside of the buildings, not outside, right? So in our case, it's still the distance that we can observe is much higher than the so-called traditional one-way wireless communication, okay? if I'm not sure if Tamar is still with us. If Tamar, did you manage to reconnect to the presentation? I hope Tamar will be able to talk to us, because Tamar has some use cases on the usage of the wireless devices in United Arab Emirates that he would like to share with you. But I can share with you my own experience. Okay, before I joined the product marketing position, I was working on a technical account manager position, and I was doing a lot of customer presentations. I was actually able to have the PowerG technology working without the repeater in a 7th-floor building, okay, where the receiver was located on the 1st floor of the building, and we had normal reception from the top floor, 7th floor, and we also had a good reception in the basement of the building. Okay. Another case that I personally attended was a test made in a very nice country called Cyprus. Okay, and in Cyprus we were measuring the outside range of the system in a city called Limassol, which is a very crowded tourist location in Cyprus. Okay, and even though there was a lot of interference from from mobile phones, from communication devices, and so on. Okay, in this city of Limassol, we were able to measure the maximum distance of 1.5 kilometers, so quite close to the declared distance without interference. Okay, I hope just these two examples will tell you how powerful is the PowerG technology. Okay.
Actually, Maciek, can I just interrupt? Hello, can I
sure,
just interrupt
go ahead,
here?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just I want to highlight one thing. We've done the testimonials with PowerG in the country of United Arab Emirates. Then it's utilized heavily for big project here in UAE called Hassantuk. You have a huge villa sizes, goes up to 3-story, 15 rooms, and PowerG literally sustain the signal without a need of a single repeater. Ministry of Interior in the UAE tested it, and this is where it showed the reliability of such a protocol. This is just an experience I wanted to share. And anyone is, feel free to reach out to me if you need more information about the PowerG. Thank you.
Thank you, Lubna, for this amazing testimonial. Okay. Another thing I wanted to highlight, which is also unique to our technology, is so-called adaptive transmission. Okay, so our PowerG enabled devices can actually measure the distance that is behind them and the receiver. Okay, and thanks to this measurement of the distance, they can actually align or optimize the power of transmission. Okay, the closer the device is to the panel, the less power it's using. Okay, traditional or regular wireless devices have no idea how far they are from the control panel, and they actually use the full power with every signal sent. Not to mention that they usually, traditionally repeat the signal 2 or 3 times just to ensure that the signal is received. Okay, in our case, we measure the distance, we optimize the power. Okay, in a typical residential installation where the distances are small, we are using minimum power in order to send the signal. Okay, and as a result, our battery lifetime is maximized. Okay, we offer an average battery lifetime from 5 to 8 years. Excuse me for just a second. Okay, just a second. Excuse me, it's a beauty of the of the new normal and the home working. It's just somebody came on the door. I'm assuming it's a courier. Okay, so coming back to what we were discussing, another thing which is very important when it comes to PowerG technology is the speed of installation. Okay, and I know this is like let's call it a cliche statement, because every wireless installation is quicker. Okay, but in our case, as I mentioned, we have this so-called placement test made whenever the communication is established, and not only receiver is telling you if the signal reception is good, but also the actual device itself. Okay, which means you don't need anymore. You don't need 2 people. Okay, one on the detector side and one on the receiver side, tell you if the connection is good. Okay, you take the detector, you enroll it to the system, you install it in the place you want it to be, and the detector will tell you my communication is perfect. Okay, there is no problem, and I can easily communicate with you. Okay. The last thing that I would like to cover when it comes to PowerG is the encryption. Okay, which is also not always a case in our industry. Okay, so our communication is fully encrypted, 128-bit AES encryption. Okay, we have introduced a special method of secure key exchange between the receiver and the transmitter. Okay, which means that instead of a regular enrollment by a tamper, okay, where you can have a mixture of signals, the signal may not always get there. We are utilizing special enroll buttons, okay, separately and specifically used only for enrollment process. Okay, this way we are sure that the enrollment is done in a proper way, okay, and everything is working properly. Okay, and also last thing quite unique for our technology is so-called frequency hopping spread spectrum together with time division multiplexed access. Okay, FHSS and TDMA. Okay, maybe just a little bit about what it means. Again, traditional wireless systems are using a narrow band frequency, for example, 433.92 megahertz. Okay, and it's a good frequency, it works properly. However, okay, it's quite easy to jam. Okay, because you can simply get another 433.92 megahertz device. Okay, start transmitting all the time, and your system is going to be blocked. Okay, in case of PowerG, on the 433 megahertz frequency, we are using the whole channel from 432.90 something to 434 something. Okay, and we have 8 different sub-channels of communication, okay, which the system is changing or jumping between those channels 64 times per second. Okay, if our system recognizes there is jamming on one of the sub-channels, one of the 8 channels, it will simply stop using it. But you will still have the other 7 channels open for communication. Okay, and all this optimization of the system, change of communication method is immediate, in milliseconds. You don't feel it. Okay, the system will also continue checking if the situation got better. If the situation gets better, it will start communicating on all the 8 channels again. Okay, which means that you can forget about so-called lost messages. Okay, and you can actually reduce false alarm also thanks to that. Okay, this is frequency hopping spread spectrum. The time division multiplex access is a different algorithm to make sure that the signals generated by different devices will not jam each other. Okay, so the control panel is controlling the communication, okay, between all the devices in the whole ecosystem, okay, and giving commands to the devices telling them, you need to communicate every, I don't know, 7 milliseconds, okay, while the other device will communicate every 5 milliseconds, just to ensure that there is no conflict between those signals. Okay, right, so let's continue. Second, because I think my presentation might be a little bit stuck. Okay, so just to picture the distance, because not everybody can imagine what 2 kilometers mean in real life. Okay, these are a few buildings. I'm assuming especially the last one, the Burj Khalifa, which I had the pleasure to see myself during my last visit in Dubai. Okay, the Burj Khalifa is 828 meters. Okay, you have some other famous or used to be famous buildings. Okay, Empire State Building, the New World Trade Center, the Eiffel Tower. Okay, you can see from our perspective as as people, these are very large objects, very high and so on. Okay, but even the largest building in the world is only less than a half of the PowerG distance. Okay. Yes, so again, just to summarize, so the reliability of this system is actually, if not close, then similar to the hardwired reliability, with one main difference. The wire, it's very secure, it's very reliable, but wire can always be cut. Okay, wireless technology cannot be cut, cannot be stopped, okay, in any way. Okay, our technology, as I mentioned, is very advanced. Okay, it's suitable for any types of conditions, whether residential or commercial. No problem. Interference is not our problem. Okay, you as installers can spend much less time in the premises thanks to the optimized installation, which I talked about. Okay, and it's not a completely new technology. It's getting matured on the market. Okay, it has been improved several times. We are now working on the new release of the technology called PowerG Plus. Okay, and eventually this is a green technology. Saving battery lifetime means that you are using less and less batteries over time. Okay, and you are becoming so-called green, which is very important these days in several countries. This is the PowerG devices DNA, okay, which I mentioned. So you can see how big is our offering of devices. Okay, several intrusion detectors. Maybe I will just mention a few of them. On the left-hand side, you can see our detectors with embedded PIR cam, okay, PIR camera, the indoor one and the outdoor one. We also have mirror detectors with mirror technology, regular detectors, ceiling-mounted detectors, magnetic contacts, indoor and outdoor. Our outdoor magnetic contact is unique in the industry. Okay, we also have a range of safety detectors like a smoke detector, smoke and heat, CO detector, temperature detector, flood detector. We have two different types of sirens, indoor siren and an outdoor siren. We also have a repeater. We are going to talk a little bit about the repeater in a moment. Okay, and we have 4 different types of key fobs. The key fobs can be used either for arming and disarming of the system, or for example, like the one on the bottom left, can be used for generating a panic signal. And eventually, we have a nice range of colorful proximity tags. As I mentioned, we have keypad variants with proximity reader, and you can use those nice tags to actually arm and disarm the system as an end user. Okay. Battery types. We are trying to be flexible here. Our main types of batteries are widely available in almost any battery shop, or sometimes even in supermarkets. I'm talking about the CR2032 batteries used in smaller devices and CR123A batteries, which are also widely available. Most of our motion detectors or smoke detector are using CR123 battery. Okay, but of course, for some devices, we are using special batteries which are available from our warehouses. Batteries like battery kits, okay, for the PIR camera, extra backup battery for the wireless repeater, which generally is connected to the AC power, or special batteries for our indoor and outdoor sirens. As I mentioned a few seconds ago, I would like to talk a little bit more about the repeater. So naturally in the industry, repeater is used to extend the communication range. Okay, of course, some people call it, extender. Some people call it differently. Some people assume that it simply doubles the distance between the detector and the panel, which is not exactly the case. Okay, but certainly it can extend the communication range. Okay, but in our case, there is another very important use case for a repeater. Okay, our repeater can also help you save the battery lifetime. And why is that? You can remember that I mentioned that our devices measure the distance between the panel and the detector, right? And actually adjust emission based on this distance. Okay, so the repeater is treated as a receiver. So if you have a repeater which is AC powered, okay, close to the device, okay, then actually the device will think it's very close to the panel, even though it's not. Okay, so it will use much less battery over time. Okay, what you see on the screen with the clouds, blue and pink, okay, this is our DSC office in Bridgeland, close to Toronto. Okay, and it's covered with generally we had range. Okay, when we installed the receiver in the middle of this large, very populated building, we had range without any problems. But we decided to install 3 repeaters in order to save battery lifetime. And thanks to the repeaters, you can see what is the full range of the system. Okay, it looks like we could also use the outdoor detectors without any problem to fully communicate with the control panel. Okay, right. Let's talk quickly about the visual verification. Okay, and just a second, please. Sorry. So let's talk about visual verification. Okay. So what is visual verification? Visual verification is a method to prevent false alarms, basically. Okay. False alarms are the biggest problem of the security industry. Statistics say that about 92 to 95% of all signals coming to monitoring station are false alarms. Okay. Alarms caused by, I don't know, malfunction of the device, for example, or for example, an animal generating an alarm, okay, some interference and so on. So that's why we are offering those PIR camera detectors, okay, that can not only send a regular motion detection signal, but can also send pictures, okay, and the operator of the monitoring station, together with the homeowner, okay, can quickly assess the situation and decide whether the alarm is false or true. Okay, so thanks to that, you know, the operator of the monitoring station can decide, okay, it's a false alarm, I'm not sending a patrol, okay, for example, or can see, okay, we have 4 intruders, so I need to send 2 patrols because for 1 patrol it will be too dangerous. Okay, so this is basically what the wireless visual verification is offering. In case of our PIR camera, we are sending with every alarm, we are sending 10 images, okay, and our monitoring station is turning those images into videos, okay, and those videos are then either assessed by the operator, sent to the automation software, or sent to the end user application. Okay, here are some screenshots from the application. Okay, you can see how it looks like. Now, some people confuse visual verification with CCTV. Okay, this is certainly not a CCTV system. Okay, that's why the quality of the picture is not what you can see on the CCTV. Okay, the reasons for this are twofold. First of all, we are talking about a small device, okay, which is battery powered. Okay, so naturally it cannot do high resolution pictures because the battery would be drained almost immediately. And secondly, in visual verification, the key aspect or the key element, okay, is the time of delivering the image to the monitoring station. Okay, if the file with the pictures is big, okay, then it will take, I don't know, sometimes over 1 minute or 2 minutes to deliver the first picture. Okay, so we as DSC we find the balance between the quality and the time. Okay, and we are delivering the first image in about 10 to 15 seconds after detection. Okay, but of course, as a result, you know, the quality of the picture is a regular VGA, 320 by 240 40 pixels. Okay, let's continue. Some more pictures. The device that you see here is an outdoor PIR cam device. Okay, and you can see an actual pictures from a garden when one of our customers was testing this detector. Okay. So you can see that while maybe you cannot recognize the face with face recognition, you can definitely see that there is some intruder. Okay, and eventually this is our full DNA once again. So you can see those PowerG devices. Okay, you can see the communicators, modules, keypads. This is how this system is powerful. Okay, one of the best portfolios in the whole range. And just to shortly wrap up, Okay, it took us a little bit too long, a little bit longer than planned today. I apologize for that. I mentioned the DLS software. DLS is our programming software. Okay, it provides you with three different use cases. First of all, full driver pack for all our types of panels. Okay, so you can use it with several different DSC devices, not only with PowerSeries Neo, but also some older systems and different systems. Okay, with full diagnostics, full programming, and so on and so forth. We have a very interesting add-on feature called remote routine inspection, okay, which is also quite unique on the market, meaning you can schedule the system to check itself remotely, okay, and send the report automatically to, for example, an FTP server or an email address, okay, where you can store those reports for further inspections, okay. Our biggest European customers, monitoring stations, are using this, and they see it as a very large cost saver, because in the past they are required by law to inspect every connected system at least once a year. Okay, and you can imagine if you have 100,000 systems, okay, and these are the quantities that they are having. If you need to visit this object every year to make an inspection of the system, the cost is huge. Okay, with our solution, they don't need to visit, they can run a report, and they can go only to those systems where there is some kind of trouble. Okay, and eventually through DLS5, you have also access to so-called system admin software, okay, where you can give it to certain number of operators who can perform so-called system admin activities on the systems. Okay, for example, it might be a use case for this might be an office building with several independent systems, okay, connected, but with one guard or with a group of guards, for example, which have a task of arming those systems at a given time. Okay, they make sure that everybody has left the building, and then they arm those systems separately at a given time, while the disarm is done by actual users the moment they come in the morning to the office. Okay. Yes, as I mentioned, this remote service management routine inspection, okay, helps you to access the system easier, is very technically oriented with full information about the panel status up to the value of resistors and the latest voltage of the battery. All this information is included in the report, okay, and then you can, as I mentioned, you can export those files to PDFs or to Excel, so you can have full access to the information. Okay, I guess we came to the end. I apologize for the technical issues that we had and that it took a little bit longer. It looks to me that we are going to have another session to cover the PowerSeries Pro, which we are not going to cover today. Apologize for that. Tomer, how are we going to do this?
So we will probably set another session and send you all an invite. And we could, you will all also get a survey following this webinar. Please help us get better and answer it, and you will hear from us right after. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Tomer. What about the 3 polls that are left? Do we leave them for the next training?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure to meet you. Okay, I see that we've got some questions. Given the technical troubles that we had, we will answer those questions in a separate way. Okay, please expect answers.
Matthew, we can answer them. Actually, let's have the poll, because I see people are still with us. Why not?
Okay, so let's go through the poll and let's go through the questions. So we have prepared for you 3 more polls. Okay, we would like to see what you think of this webinar. So I'm starting the first poll. Okay, in this first poll, we would like to understand what type of DSC projects you would be interested in. Okay, let's use 45 seconds to answer those polls. This poll. Starting it. Is the poll visible, Tomer?
Yes.
Great. Okay, I can see. Yes, I can see answers coming. Very nice. Thank you very much. This is very, Tomer, I think it's one of the best interactions that we had so far, I must tell you.
Totally. I'm smiling.
Great, more votes coming. Thank you. Another 15 seconds.
And if I may just say,
Okay,
sorry, go on.
Yes. No, okay. Yes, we got the number of votes that we wanted. I'm closing this poll. Okay, and I'm starting another one. Another poll is about this webinar. We just would like to know if you liked the product and if you are ready to use it in your future projects. Thank you. Votes are coming. Very good response rate. Thank you very much. We'll give another 15 seconds. Okay, great, fantastic, thank you. I'm closing this poll, and eventually we'll close with the last one. We simply would like to know if everybody who is on this call will join the next webinar that we are going to organize. Great. Okay, this one I closed quicker because I got all the votes I wanted. Fantastic, thank you very much. Closing the poll. Okay, so we said that we would like to look into the questions. Okay, Tomer, I'm not sure. Do you see the questions properly? Yes, I can also see the questions now. Okay, the first question from Hisham. Thank you, Hisham, for this question. Does PowerG have tools that can check signal strength? And yes, okay, as I mentioned, we have the placement test tool. Okay, so during the installation process, we can check the strength of the signal both on the device itself, like a detector, okay, by the number of LED blinks and the color of the LED. We can see if the signal is strong, medium, or poor. Okay, and then on the receiver itself, we also have the same signal strength LED control. But also after the installation, at any point, if we want to do the signal strength check, we can simply get to the keypad, we can choose the correct option, and the system itself will run a query along all the devices in the system, the wireless devices, and will tell us the current signal strength and the average signal strength for the last 24 hours. Okay, which can also tell us if we had any problems with the system, if there is anything we need to look into. Okay. The second question I see here is, how are your intrusion detectors powered? Okay, so based on the type of detector, if the detector is a hardwired detector, then you can power it from the bus. Okay, so in our panel we have these auxiliary power outputs, which I showed on the first drawing, and you can take power from there. Okay, of course you need to make proper calculations and figure if the panel itself is going to give you the enough power, okay, to power all the detectors. If not, then you need to use an extra power supply module. Okay, but of course, if you require, this is also an option, you can power the hardware detectors from a different power source. It doesn't have to be the control panel. Okay, of course, when it comes to wireless detectors, okay, wireless motion detectors, they are powered from the battery. Okay, another interesting question that we got here is about how long the battery lasts for the cameras with the motion detector. Okay, so here everything depends on the usage. Okay, on average we say between 3 to 4 years the battery should last. Okay, but it all depends on the number of activations, and also, you know, if the customers are using the so-called video on demand feature after alarm, if they are reviewing an extra, because there is like a window After alarm, there is like a window that you can program, time window, in which you can still ask for more pictures. Okay, so you can imagine that if there is many alarms per month, for example, and many activations, the battery will last shorter. Okay, our typical use says 1 activation per month is what gives you the 3 to 4 years battery lifetime. Okay, and eventually the last question, not the last question, one of the last questions that I see here is what is the resolution of the cameras? So the resolution is programmable. It's either 160 by 120, so half VGA, okay, or 320 by 240, which is a full VGA. Okay, and then the last question is about the video footage. Where is it stored? So basically, the video footage is stored in a receiver. Okay, so first it's stored in the detector. Okay, detector is whenever it makes pictures, it buffers the pictures and sends them to the control panel. Okay, in case there is proper communication. Then the panel is buffering those pictures and trying to forward them to the receiver. Okay, if the communication channel is open, everything is fine, it goes to our receiver, and then the pictures are stored in the receiver. Okay, if there is an automation software connected to the receiver, okay, then this automation software can integrate with our receiver and receive this video as well. So as you see, there are certain places where the video is actually stored. Okay, Tomer, I think I answered all the questions, I guess.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so
let's wrap it up.
Fantastic. So I guess we will be finishing now. Thanks everybody. It was very nice session. Again, we apologize for some technical issues, and we hope to see you all on our next webinar, where we are going to cover PowerSeries Pro. Thank you very much.